Hey everybody, this is Mike LaPone from Symphony X and Mike LaPone's Silent Assassins, and this is SAGAS.
All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Corbin the Serpent Tongue Skipwith, and you're listening to SAGAS. I have a very special guest today. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Rhino, former Manowar drummer, former all kinds of bands. But mostly I'm known for being the drummer for Manowar from 1989 to 1991. I'm sorry, 96. Triumph of Steel album, and that whole era where after Scott Columbus left, I came in the band, and we did the Triumph of Steel album. It was a heavily double bass, crazy, wild story about Achilles and Hector and the whole Greek mythology thing, and that was me. So now I'm here in Florida, sunny Florida, and I have my own band, Angels of Babylon, and I sing, I juggle, I tap dance, I whatever you want, I'll do it for $1.
Amazing. So again, like I know, I already said this off the recording, but thank you so much for taking time out. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. So the first thing I want to ask regarding this album is, how did the band first come together?
Angels of Babylon?
Yep.
Well, after I left Manowar, my purpose was to, not just be a drummer, but also be a writer, an arranger, and express myself more than just playing drums. I mean, I love the instrument, and I'll always love playing drums. It's my first love. But when I left, I thought, well, you know what? This is the time now to concentrate on what I want to do more creatively than just pounding on drums, which to me, just at that time, just wasn't melodic enough. I heard a lot of melody in my head, and I just wanted to get it out. So I bought some recording equipment at that time. This was 1990, like I said, 96, around in there. Bought some recording equipment, and I thought I would write. The first thing I thought, well, I'll write this. I had this heavy metal opera symphonic thing going on in my head. So I did that. It took me about 4 years. It was never released, and I put a lot of time in that thing, man, a lot of time. And I played all the instruments: guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, everything. The only thing I didn't do were the characters. I did one character. I had friends of mine do the other characters, and I finished that. That was about an hour and a half of music. The storyline is about vampires and ghosts and all this cool stuff. And Joey DeMeo and Manowar said, I really like this. This is cool. Let's try and get it signed. Let's try and get it. I had this idea of being on stage, a real big production, but it never really went anywhere. I mean, I really honestly don't know what happened to it. I mean, he tried really hard to get something going with it, but I don't know. I guess nobody was really that interested at the time. Of course, now, you hear all this symphonic metal, all this stuff like this now. And man, I really did that long ago. But it just seemed like everybody had the same thoughts, all these musicians, all these bands. Like right when that was done, all these symphonic bands came out of Europe. But I like that kind of mixture. I used to really love Electric Light Orchestra. I love Queen. And I really had that influence going, and that kind of thought in my head at that time. So when that was finished, I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Because really, I didn't want to tour anymore, because I just, my son was born. It was 2000. Just didn't want to tour, and but what am I going to do now? So I went out and I did a lot of touring with some country bands. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. So country acts, like going out on the casino tours and doing that thing, which I didn't really care for that much. But it, it paid the bills. And I did that for a while. And then when I moved to Florida, thought, well, I still have a lot of ideas for music. Why don't I get, a thing going with my own band and see what happens. I met Dave Feffold. He used to sing with a band called Hawk long time ago. And he killer singer, great guy, great singer. And I met him through the internet, and I went out to do some stuff with him. And in that same studio I was recording, David Ellison was there of Megadeth. And he actually was not in Megadeth at the time. And we were talking about it, me and David. So let's ask Ellison if he wants to join this thing. Let's do this band together. And just right off, out of the blue sky, he said, "Yeah, man, I'll do it." We're like, "Cool, this is great." So then I got this guitar player, Ethan Brosh, off the internet. That's time, Facebook started going to MySpace. You could see all these guys, and this guy was my friend. I didn't even know him from Adam. I said, "Man, this guy's a killer guitar player." So we got all together, and I said, "You know what? I actually have songs already written. I had a bunch of songs in demo form, about 10 songs. All right, well, let's do it." So we did the 10 songs, and we got a little deal, a little company out of Germany, and he got us a little record deal, and then not shortly after that, Dave Ellison went back to Megadeth, and then it was like, well, what are we going to do now? Then Dave Feffold left. I said, well, I don't have a singer or a bass player. So I thought, you know what? I'll just sing because I enjoy singing. I tried so many different singers, man. There's a certain sound I really like. I like a deeper, manlier voice than that high kind of, I guess nowadays, like my son, he likes these guys that sound like the bowels of hell. Just this, I don't know, man. I'm not really into that thing, but I really dig like Dio. So I thought, well, that's my style. I'll sing it. I sang the demos. I'll just continue to sing and play drums. This will be cool, man. Singing drummer. So what do you see now? Like tons of singing drummer. You got Dean Castronovo, out there with Journey. You got, that. It's like, man, trying to be original here. It's not happening for me. But so I decided, well, I'll make another record. I'll sing on it called ThunderGod. I'll do that, all the vocals on that. And then I did that. And man, I tell you, a lot of people love these records. They really love what's going on. But man, the business is so hard and things are just kind of weird. And touring for me is it's just it's hard, man. It's hard to get out here and do what you love to do and make any kind of money, make any kind of living. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm still here locally doing some shows here local. I got a new guitar player from Atlanta, Stevens, and Ned Maloney is playing bass with me down here. He's with Burning Star. And that's it. Just enjoying life in the sun and on the beach, and there you go. That's the whole story, pretty much.
So that unreleased record you talked about at the start, were you ever going to think about releasing it at all?
Yeah, I really want, because it's. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's so cool. It's extremely cool. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, a really cool story. But Joey, bass player with Manowar, he pretty much owned all the rights. So that's that. It's gone. That's all I can say. I mean, I can let you hear it. I can send it to you. You can share it to your friends, whatnot. But he owns all the rights, and I really have a great idea for this thing. I don't know if it would ever come to fruition. Of course, it'd have to be through his permission. Which is fine. That's just how it goes, man. That's the business.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, if you're open to it, I'd love to hear it. Like, you got me excited the way you talked about it.
Yeah, man, I think you really dig it. It's real raw and the recording's really not so hot, because back then I was so new to all that kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, the energy and the vibe and I always tell everybody, try and go past how crappy the sound is. And just listen to it on headphones and just lay back one night and just listen to the whole thing from top to bottom, and you'll get the idea, man. It's really cool.
Nice. Well, yeah, one day that will be my relaxing session. Just put on this album.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be good.
I'll send it to you, man. Yeah.
Nice. Can't wait. So for ThunderGod, what was the recording process like?
Well, I did it all at my house, man. I do everything now. I've built my studio up, and these recording studios nowadays, they're expensive as hell, and if you're interested in that sort of thing and you've got that kind of motivation, you could make records sound just as good, almost as good as anything else out there. You just have to, put time and effort into it. But I do everything at my house, man. I do everything home. But I like I said, I just I love that. That's a side of the business I love, is recording and mixing and mastering, that sort of thing. So I really enjoy doing that now.
Yeah. Nice. No, it came off amazing, and my co-host also said he loved it as well. He said his favorite song was the opening track because it was very Viking related.
Oh, the ThunderGod?
Yeah, ThunderGod.
Yeah, that song is actually dedicated to Scott Columbus. That's what I wrote it about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just felt like it was time to pay homage to him, and he was a good friend of mine. I really love Scott.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair enough. It's a great, I mean, it's like I said, it's a great song all around. So yeah, great choice to have that on, especially as the opening track.
Yeah, man, thanks.
So going from drumming to singing, like obviously nowadays, as you mentioned, you see it everywhere in bands, but it's just, to me, like, to have such an amazing drumming style and then to have a voice which I've described to your messenger as dream theater, like that's just what came to my head. Like, have you always known that you could sing like this your whole career, or?
That's actually a really good question, man. My dad's a singer, performer, and I was in his band, as a kid early on, and he liked to do like 50s and 60s, kind of music, stuff like that. And he's a great singer. But I didn't really know I could sing, man. One day I got my first recording equipment. I just sat in a room and put a microphone in my mouth. Well, that sucked. Trying again, and well, that still sucks. And then one day I think I heard the same story about Ann Wilson with Heart. She said one day she just started to belt out something. It just came out. That's kind of what happened to me. Is I just started to put a lot of energy into it. And when I put the energy into it, started pushing, like, wow, that sounds good. I think I like that. That's kind of how it happened. I mean, I sang a little bit with my dad's band, but like I said, we did like 50s and 60s, real mellow type, singing real mellow. And then when I did that one, I thought, well, I guess I could sing okay. But I think singing is really, man, it's really a challenge, because when you first start, you're like, that sounds good. Then I don't like this part of this way I sound, this way that. So as time goes on, you're really kind of developing your sound. You're changing a little bit here and there, and you're changing this, changing that, and as also as you age, it changes a whole bunch. But I love it, man. I love singing. My dream was always really to kind of be the front guy of the band and have a drummer play, because I like being up front, man, seeing the audience. Because as a drummer, you're always hidden, back to you. Where is everybody? And I like to see people eye to eye, man, when I'm expressing myself, when I'm expressing my music. I actually get to do that a lot. I go to Italy, and I have some friends of mine. There's a Man-O-War tribute band called Sons of Odin, and they learn the songs, and they let me go out front and sing, and then I go back on the drums and play Man-O-War tunes with those guys. They're from Italy, and man, they're like family to me. And me and my wife, we talk about retiring out there and staying with those guys and being out there and just being a part of that whole thing. There's a town there called Sondrio, Italy, that the people there I love so much, and they love me, and that's where the song Sondrio came from on the album, and everybody loves that song.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
No, it's a great album, and as I said, but with your history as a drummer, I do have I do want to ask your opinion on a few drummers that hopefully you've heard of that are to me some of my favorite collection of drummers, and I'd just like to get your opinion on them.
All right.
Joey Jordison from Slipknot.
Well, I was not a Slipknot fan, but my son really, really liked Slipknot when they came out. At that time, I thought to myself, well, it sounds a little processed or maybe even fake. A lot of times I hear these bands nowadays with these crazy sounding drums and these crazy performances and think that can't be real. That's a programmed drum. It's a program. Or they quantize. I don't know if you know what quantizing means. They take a drummer, the drummer plays, and then they correct all the mistakes, digitally with the computer. And that's funny because I remember back in the day, people used to say that about Tommy Aldridge. Well, he's using an echo on his kick drums. It's so funny. But not really a big fan of Joey Jordison. But I do. Of course, I love all those guys' energy. I like their energy, and I admire their youth, and I guess that's what I could say about him.
John Bonham from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, probably number one for me as far as rock. Yeah, definitely for rock and roll and that whole vibe. He's definitely number one. I mean, I saw Michael DeRozier with Heart back in 1982, and he, of course, is a huge John Bonham fan. I didn't know that, but I thought Michael DeRozier was like the greatest drummer I've ever seen in my life. It just totally changed my life. I had a humongous drum set like Neil Peart. I threw them all away, and I made a small drum set like that, which was like a Bonham drum kit. And then I started listening to John Bonham. I was like, I see where this guy, and just that was my whole thing was John Bonham. Yeah.
Nice. I love him too. He's actually my favorite drummer of all time for me. So I'm glad we think the same with that. And lastly, David Grohl.
Again, another to me kind of okay. Here's what I really think. At first, I thought, man, this guy's really overrated. Because he's just bashing away, no technique, really no rudiments, no rudimental value, just kind of a really great. I always say he's a really great basher. But then I saw this thing on YouTube where he does this long, I can't remember what it was. He did this long thing in a studio and he's playing along, and I thought, man, that's pretty damn good. He was so flawless, and his execution was amazing. And I had a whole new respect for that guy.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's going on to some, starting his own band, and
Yeah, I mean, great singer too, but never was a big fan of that kind of music. Just not my cup of tea, man. I'm such an old school guy, with the Dio and Priest and Maiden and stuff like that. And I guess I'm stuck kind of back. I mean, I like like some of these Europeans like Nightwish and bands like that, but my son, he likes, I don't know, man, it's just the craziest stuff. What's the one? He likes black metal, that Nordic the stuff that's really dark and like Marduk. You ever heard of Marduk?
Yeah.
He likes stuff like that, man.
Nah, well, hey, I'm a black metal fan too, so I guess
really?
we have something.
You and my son, you should definitely hook up with my son Corbin. You get in touch with him because he's into that. He wants to be a black metal star. He's got that voice, man. He's got that whole thing going, man. He plays guitar.
Did you know Nicolas Cage's son is a black metal like singer or something?
That's so strange. Corbin, right before I got with you, man, I was watching an interview with Nicolas Cage on 60 Minutes.
There you go, huh?
Yeah. So his son's a black metal player, huh?
Looks crazy.
Cool. Yeah, that's fun. Awesome.
So, so for the album ThunderGod, what was the inspiration behind the sound? Was it like any band in particular or any genre?
Not really. I mean, like I said, I'm really inspired by a lot of the European symphonic metal. So I'm really inspired by that. And like when I heard Nightwish for the first time, I thought that is the coolest sound ever. You know, and I really didn't like Tarja that much, but then it really started to grow on me. I was like, wow, she's so unique. You know, but that whole scene, you know, I really was into, and that's kind of my inspiration for the sound. And I mean, it's not as produced and slick like a lot of that, and it doesn't have, you know, that massive orchestrational sound, but I like to put in what I can, because I'm not a really tremendous keyboard player, but what I can hear, what I want to do, I throw it in, man, wherever I hear. You know?
Yeah. You know, one thing I've always wanted, because whenever I see this, it just blows my mind, because I am such a like I'm the kind of person that can't do two things at a time. I'm so uncoordinated. What's it like having to play drums and remember to sing, or vice versa? It must be just insane.
Well, that's a good question as well. My dad, like I said, I played in his band a lot, and as a kid, he would like me to sing some songs. You know, I want you to sing some. Okay, for one thing, drums came naturally to me. It was really nothing. It wasn't a problem for me to play. You know, it just always felt natural. And then when I started singing, that seemed to feel natural as well. So now, and what's funny is some of the songs are heavy or fast. It's really not. It just comes natural. It doesn't feel funny or forced. So it's really kind of natural for me at this point.
Yeah. So like, you know, what's going through your mind? Like is it like autopilot, or are you playing the drums and like remembering the lyrics? Like,
yeah, it's autopilot now, man. And lyrics, that's a hard one for me. But for some reason, I remember my own. But every now and then I'll get stuck on, what was that again in the chorus? What? I'll have to look at the guitar player. What's the first word?
Oh man, have you had any since starting this band, or actually any band you've been in? Have you had any memorable, like, I don't want to say fuck ups, but like memorable, like where things didn't go right and you had to improvise and fix the situation? Like live.
Not that I can think of. I mean, live is always, it's a challenge. You know, some places sound good, some places don't sound good. Some PAs really are good, some PAs suck. You know, that's what you're always up against. Now, when I was with Manowar, if we did, you know, we would do like these club gigs before we'd go to Europe, do the big shows, and we would bring our own PA in. We'd have our own stuff, our own, you know, we at least add it to what, you know, the club had to offer. So, but yeah, you're just at the mercy of these places, you know, that have either a really good PA or a bad PA. You just got to make the best of it. Yeah.
No, well, it's good. I mean, I'm glad because I was talking to I'm not sure if you heard the band, but I was talking. I had the bassist for Symphony X on.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine,
Mike.
Yeah, Mike's a good friend of mine. I played with him with Ross the Boss.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he told me a story. I forgot what it was now, but yeah, he had a clear story of something happening live to him. I forgot what it was, but yeah.
He's a cool guy, man. I love Mike. He's great.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he even recorded an intro for the podcast for us that I'm using lately. So it's good. A little bass solo.
Cool, man. Yeah, he's great.
So, okay, do you have a hardest or easiest song to make off this album? Did any song stick out for the worst or for the better for you?
Yeah, of course, you know, ThunderGod is kind of a challenge because it's fast and there's a lot of drums in there. You know, I mean, anytime you're playing fast as a drummer, it's a challenge. You know, the double bass thing. I mean, everybody can play double bass now. I mean, these guys are playing, 5,000 miles an hour. It's amazing to me. It's unbelievable. You know, and like I said before, it's, oh, that's fake. But a lot of this is not. But they have a technique that they know how to use, and it's pretty amazing, man. But I like more organic sounds anyway. But yeah, some of these guys are incredible. just amazing.
Yeah. Since you've been so I want to know, as someone who's been in the music business for quite a while, have you noticed anything drastically different for you as far as, I don't know, process or marketing or like anything from the 90s, 80s to now, like anything stands out?
As far as the music business is concerned?
Just like anything that's like, that was, you know, the process was different back then than it is now, or it's the same, or is anything
of course it's very different. I mean, back in the day, an artist was built from the ground up. You know, well, that album didn't sell so well. Let's keep going. You know, let's keep getting let's keep writing some songs, and let's do another album, see how that goes. You know, if that doesn't go well, we'll keep going. We have a 5-album contract, whatever. People didn't see these artists either like they do now. You know, you can turn on YouTube and you can watch a whole concert from Judas Priest, or you can see an interview, or he's with his cats, or he's in his backyard watering his garden. You know, you can use such access to these artists nowadays. You know, and there's no mystery, none of that anymore. And you know, even I can remember back in the day, you didn't even know how half these people didn't even look like. They didn't put their picture on the album or something. You know, wow. You know, when you're listening to this guy playing drums, you're thinking, man, I wonder what he looks like. He must look crazy because he sounds crazy. You know, so I mean, that for one really kind of has been a real drag for me. You know, the mystery is gone, and you know, you see a live show now, and there's these lights, just crazy lights. Excuse me. You know, in the old days, you look at old concerts, you see it's dark, you know, it's dim, and there's a spotlight, and you know, I don't know. It's nowadays, like I said, when I see I see Judas Priest, God, it looks like a talent show at a high school auditorium or something, you know, and the audience is weird. You know, the song is done, it's like, you know, it's quiet as a pin, you know, or it's, you know, Rob Halford's like, how you doing tonight? I just remember the old days, the audience like always screaming and just excited in between songs, you know, yeah, you know, that's changed. And like I said, the business is so stupid. You know, these labels, they want you to sell your product right off the shelf, right off the bat, you know, without them hardly even doing anything. Well, you know, it didn't sell. Well, you didn't do nothing. You didn't advertise. You didn't market. You didn't do anything. What do you mean it didn't sell? Of course it didn't sell.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough, man. It really is so much harder for young band. I mean, they put so much emphasis now, these companies, on these older bands like Priest and Scorpion, which I understand. I understand that. But, and on top of that, you have so many kids that want to be rock stars, so many that, you know, gosh, there's millions and millions of people, musicians now, and want to play, you know, access to all these people on YouTube, and it's just so inundated with so much talent. And I mean, getting a decent, especially with metal, getting a good deal and making it, going on stage and touring and making a little bit of money, it's like winning the lottery. I would about the same odds, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. In your personal opinion, do you think the new streaming era of music is detrimental or better for the music industry as a whole?
Oh, definitely as an older guy, detrimental, man. You know, I mean, that's never going to stop. I guess not. You know, I mean, these people are going to constantly put out CDs. You know, our new CD, get our new CD. I mean, who's really going to buy it? I haven't bought a CD in 1,000 years, but and I feel bad about that. I do, but it's just the way it is, man. That's how it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you know, I find it interesting because, like, you know, I used to have, I mean, before streaming came out, I was collecting CDs, bands like Disturbed, Cradle of Filth. I had like a bunch of CDs, and you know, those are the albums I still remember to this day. I remember the lyrics, I remember the artwork, I remember it more than anything I've streamed, because you know, it's all you had back then. Like,
Yeah.
you had a radio player, CD player, and CDs. If you didn't like the CDs, you had no music. It was simpler time.
Yeah. Well, even to you, even for me, it was even way simpler times. I mean, I don't know how. I'm 58 years old, man. Look, we were buying albums. That was the biggest thing in the world, is to go to the record store and buy a new album and sit and stare at the album all through the whole record. Like I said, a lot of times you didn't know who these people, what they even looked like, or what they acted like, or what their personality was, until you saw them live. That's why going to a concert was just a massive experience.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's just it's a different vibe, switching. And yeah. I mean, obviously I use streaming and I use streaming and I love it, but it does make you spoiled having unlimited access to unlimited bands.
Yeah.
You don't hold any album sacred anymore, because you can do anything you want.
Yeah. But music is still important, and it's, people are always going to love it. People are always going to, there's always going to be a market for it, and there's always going to be a way to make money if you're smart enough, and you're touring, and you're selling T-shirts, and if you're lucky enough to be that band, a band like Ghost. I mean, my gosh, that guy came out sounded like some guy recorded in his basement. And look at them now. I mean, look what they're doing now. They're selling out arenas, and so yeah, there are exceptions,
Yeah, it's just crazy to reflect. So since this album has come out, have you gotten much feedback just generally around like what they thought of this album? Many reviews, anything you've heard personally?
Yeah, mostly good reviews. I mean, most seems like people really like the song Sondrio a lot. I hear that a lot. So, and that song is used by the volleyball team. They have there when they come out on the field. So, but it's been a while, since it's been out. But I get a lot of great reviews on it. Nothing really terribly bad that I can remember.
Nice. That's good. No, I mean, obviously deserves all the good reviews, and I'm just making sure that the world sees it as good as I did. So thank goodness.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you doing that, because, I think, I hate to say it, but I think that my band and some of the stuff I've done is pretty underrated, man. Really. Yeah. But I appreciate you bringing attention to it.
Nah, of course. So what's the future for Angels of Babylon?
Well, I've got some new stuff coming out. Oh boy, it just takes a long time now when you're so busy. I've got a full-time job and working, but I do have some new stuff coming out. I'll post the new song I have out, Good versus Evil. I posted it a while back, and but I've done some revisions on it with the chorus, a few things, and I'm going to repost it, and you'll be able to hear that, and then I'll go from there. I got about another 9 more songs to work on.
Do we have a can we get a sneak peek into maybe the album title? You have?
Yeah, Good versus Evil.
Oh, Good versus Evil. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
That's what's going on now. That's what's going on now, I think.
Nice. Nah, I can't wait. I obviously love the ThunderGod, so it's going to be a great record. Now, the other thing about this interview, I forgot if I mentioned it to you or not, because we have been scheduling this for like months, I think. Every guest we have on SAGAS, we let them choose what album we're going to cover the week after. So It's up to you. What album would you like me and my co-host Ren to talk about next week? It can be anything you want.
Okay, let me think about it. So it could be any album, even far back.
Related metal,
Okay, that's a good question. Let me think about that. Oh, how about Judas Priest? That Judas Priest was like my favorite band of all time, man. I love Judas Priest. I can't think. British Steel.
Yep. Cool. I'll write that down to remember. Nice. So thanks to you, this will be because we talked about their 2016 album Firepower, which was an amazing. I don't know if you've heard that one. Their return.
Yeah,
album.
I really love that song. The Spectre. I love that song, man.
Yeah. To me, listening to that album Firepower, I was just blown away of how young he sounds. Rob Halford. I'm like, dude, how old are you? And you're sounding like you haven't lost a beat. Just
yeah, man, it's pretty amazing. One of my favorite singers of all time. Him, Dio, Bruce Dickinson. Man, my top 3 singers of all time. But Rob Halford. I tell you what about Rob Halford is every time I listen to him, he has such character in his voice, the way he delivers the lyrics, with all those grunts and all these crazy, even back in the day, he'd do these things where he'd at the end of a word, he'd lift up to like a high note in his range. Crazy, man. That guy's, Unleashed in the East was the first album. That's another one, man. That one, it would be a toss between that or British Steel, man. Unleashed in the East, such a great live album.
yeah.
Amazing.
By the way, I forgot you never told us, me or the audience, about where you got your nickname.
Good question. So one day I got off the plane to New York, where Manowar was their headquarters. That's where they lived. That's where they rehearsed. I was down in Nashville, Tennessee. I get off the plane and Joey DeMail says, "From now on, your name is Rhino." So here comes a big truck. Hold on, I'm outside, obviously. Gotta say hi to my crazy neighbors. I don't even really know them. So from now on, your name is Rhino. All right, cool, man. He just thought that he gave it to me because he thought in his mind, the way you play sounds like a stampeding bunch of animals, like stampede of rhinos, and thought that's cool. And he just wanted to give me some character, and it's just Joey's mind, but like I said, in his mind, he thought the way I played sounded like a stampeding rhinos.
That's sick. That actually is a pretty cool little short story there.
Yeah.
Love it. And before we end this interview, I have a question for you, which I ask every single metalhead, whether they're musicians or otherwise. To me, I consider it the impossible question in metal, at least.
Okay.
Who do you think has the best 4-album discography between Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath?
Oh, I don't know why I haven't mentioned Black Sabbath, because, wow, I mean, such a great band, such great music, everything. If you're thinking about true metal, I would say Sabbath or Priest. True metal. Discography, though, I would say, for me personally, it'd be Sabbath. I mean, I love Zeppelin, but Zeppelin was more, when I was growing up, more like a rock kind of folk, kind of thing going, and I was more into metal. But definitely Sabbath.
See, for me, I find it hard, between Zeppelin 1 and 4, and then Sabbath all the way up to Paranoid. Is that the third? Anyway, the first 4 of Sabbath and the first 4 of Zeppelin, to me, are like perfect after perfect. It's hard for me to choose.
Sure.
And Robert Plant's vocal range in the first 4 albums. It's just
I know. And what's, every time I hear Robert Plant, I think, what was he thinking about when he was singing some of those crazy lyrics? What was going on there? To me, it always seemed like he was just kind of in the studio, just singing whatever's up top of his head, and it worked. It always worked for that guy.
Well, if you watch the music video or the live, it's either the music video or the live performance of Stairway to Heaven, he looks blazed out of his head. He's just standing by the microphone, swaying. Yeah.
I don't doubt that, man. Crazy time.
Both him and Ozzy were just as bad.
Yeah, I know, man. When I was a kid, though, listening to that, I didn't think anything of that. Didn't think a single thing about that. Just loved listening to what they were doing. I remember my sister putting on Sabbath for the first time. She was listening on headphones. You got to listen to this. This is crazy. It scared me to death. know. But I guess that's what I liked about it. It was scary, but it was cool.
Yeah. Well, apparently they were the first band to play the Devil's Note.
Yeah,
I forgot what that was.
Yeah,
But,
the tritone.
yeah. So
it really rang true, or it really did something to a lot of us young guys back then. You know, it was just cool sounding. You know, that's all. It's cool.
yeah, I still actually yesterday, the other day after work, I was listening to Paranoid, the album. I love the song Iron Man. To me, that's
yeah, and I love Electric Funeral. I just love that song.
It's a perfect album. War Pigs.
Yeah. Well, we play all the time. I'm in a cover band here down Florida. Every time we do War Pigs, I'm so excited to play because there's a lot of drums. There's a lot of drum fills, you know. And Speak of the Devil, the Ozzy Osbourne live Speak of the Devil, to me is like one of my favorite live albums of all time, man.
Yeah. Music will just never be the same like that again. Obviously, there's great albums, great bands, but
for sure, man. It's too bad.
Unfortunately. So that's all the questions I have for you today. Again, thank you so much for taking up however long it's been.
Man. Thank you so much for inviting me, man. I really appreciate that. I'm always honored and feel so, you know, I feel it in my heart, man, when guys like you could reach out to me and do this, man. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it.
Nah, you know, it's my pleasure. And next week because I always do we always do pre-records for the week after. So this will come out next week, and then next week we'll be recording about your album, Judas Priest, British Steel. So
yeah, man, right on.
Sweet. Well, I'll update you when it comes out, and thank you again. And I'll talk to you, I'm sure, on Messenger sometime soon. Yeah, stay in touch. Yeah, I definitely will. Definitely will. Thank you, Corbin. Well, thank you very much, and have a good day. You too, buddy. Thank you.